Welcome to forconstructionpros.com's top 10 hottest construction stories of the week. These are the stories that contractors are reading and think you'll be interested in. I'm Larry Stewart with For Construction Pros.
And I'm Jonathan Kozlowski, editor of Concrete Contractor.
Number 10 on our list this week is service prefabrication and technology that it will change construction in 2021. Construction can no longer stand still. Post-COVID industry's outlook for engineering, construction, and infrastructure sector refers to an IFS study that shows spending on digital enhancements to operation efficiency and profitability has increased at 75% of construction businesses during the pandemic. An increasing number of these more competitive contractors are combining construction and maintenance of buildings into a single contract to secure long-term revenue. And modular construction and the integration of BIM into estimating and maintenance of commercial buildings are shaking the foundations of traditional construction processes and competition. This story gives some details on all those changes going on in the industry.
And at number 9, we have something all about the infrastructure bill, because that's big news. Congressional Republicans are pushing back against President Biden's ambitious $3 trillion infrastructure bill, warning that any plan that strays from the core transportation priorities of roads and bridges to one that tackles climate change and social justice won't get GOP support. However, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said that they won't take out the provisions addressing these issues for the sake of placating Republicans. ForConstructionPros.com is following this closely as more details are released this week.
This list this week shows a lot of that coverage. Number 8 on the list is first infrastructure bill is expected to address roads and bridges, and the second is to focus on social issues. So while Nancy says we're not taking any of the provisions out of these things, they're starting to break them up into pieces. The White House confirmed on Sunday that the first proposal will likely address physical infrastructure such as roads and bridges and efforts to expand rural broadband access and things like that. And the second will cover issues like childcare and healthcare. The budget hawks who've been silent since before chopping federal revenues in 2017's tax redistribution, jumpstarting their complaints after regime change. The Biden administration is talking about dividing up that ambitious infrastructure plan, dealing with building and repairing transportation infrastructure, and the second, fueling a growing economy with an educated and healthy workforce through supporting community college tuition and healthcare subsidies and sustainable energy.
It's strange that all these social issues are wrapped up into an infrastructure bill.
One of the construction industry's biggest problems is providing the labor necessary to do the work. And everybody's talking about that in particular right now, and frankly has been for decades. So essentially, confirming that people are healthy and educated and motivated to work in the industry has got to be part of an infrastructure plan, essentially.
Yeah. Next up, number 7 is about companies' culture. Many organizations may not get around to worrying about culture, or if they do, the culture issues seem too systemic to effectively address. However, the costs of poor culture are extensive. Your culture challenges didn't happen overnight, so don't be dismayed when they don't change overnight. Taking deliberate steps to make manageable changes will be worth the effort in the long run. This article takes a look at what you can do to be more innovative, productive, respected, and profitable.
The coincidence there, I just had a conversation with some people from a big Scandinavian-based construction company that, really has pushed their core values all the way down to the hiring process. And, since we're talking about labor availability, the conversation I was having with them had to do with hiring, and their inclusivity elements of their core values are used in their hiring. And so they have a much more diverse workforce, which means they have a great deal more access to labor than contractors, the vast majority of contractors. I mean, you look, 70% of the workforce in construction is white men. And this company is drawing women and people of color into their workforce. They claim makes them a much more creative and productive workforce, but also they have the people. It's an interesting thing about how culture can affect labor availability. Number 6 on the list is AASHTO reporting highlights on how infrastructure investment benefits states. The quality of public roadways is sort of stalled at about 43% in poor to mediocre condition. Florida's DOT did an analysis that found that state transportation projects yield an average of $4 in benefits for every dollar invested in transportation modes. All the transportation modes: highway, transit, rail, airports, seaports, waterways, spaceports, for crying out loud.
Next is all about floor sealers. And as strange as that sounds, any contractor will know what the finished floor will look like tends to be important to the floor owner. This question and answer article with Ameripolish takes a look at floor sealers as they relate to polishable concrete overlays.
And then number 4 on the list is 4 trends behind the explosion in construction technology adoption. So Cliff Fettner, who's with Soil Connect, and Aaron Topston with the Walsh Group examined the key trends behind substantial increases in technology adoption in construction and how to assess the value of technology investments. Venture capitalists have invested 10 times more into construction over the past 3 years than in any other industry. And these two guys, who both are essentially contractors. I think Fettner used to be a contractor. They've got a very practical perspective on this. Talk about 4 reasons why technology adoption is accelerating in construction, and how to consider which technologies will have the greatest impact on your company.
At number 3, it's been almost a year, I think a full year now, since the PPP has been enacted. So on March 25th, the Senate passed an extension of the popular Paycheck Protection Program, staving off its quickly approaching expiration. The application deadline was originally slated for March 31. It will now move to May 31, pending President Biden's signature. The PPP has issued 7.5 million loans totaling $687 billion since its introduction last year, March. This has proven a lifeline to many small businesses. It's estimated that it has saved more than 50 million jobs across the U.S.
Yeah, and construction jobs are a really big part of that. I remember in the first rounds, the construction industry had taken the most of those loans than any other industry. And I suspect that that's staying fairly stable. And those are forgivable loans, and forgiveness is frankly not all that hard to get. I mean, if you follow the thread on this story through to some of the other content we've got on the site, we kind of go into some of those details. Number 2 on the list is management trends emerging in the construction industry due to COVID-19. There are lots of changes going on in the industry, and reports estimate that during the pandemic, construction's normal 3-year innovation cycle has been compressed to under a year for technology that improves safety, management, monitoring, and driving productivity. And this story breaks down some of the workforce safety and protective policies, use of efficient technology, remote work and mobile access, and construction management software. The pandemic, as we've seen elsewhere on this list, the pandemic has really accelerated technology adoption in the industry, and it really is changing the nature of competitiveness. And it's difficult trying to figure out how to get through this current time, but part of that plan has got to be, improving your access to technology, and the technology that'll improve your productivity and profitability.
Yeah. What is that quote? Struggle is the mother of invention.
Yeah, something like that.
And at number 1, Phoenix, Arizona conducted its first ever recycled asphalt pavement, or RAP, R-A-P, overlay pilot project on a laned road in October 2020. The city finally chose to adapt RAP after a local asphalt mix company, Solterra Materials, shared lab results of Cargill's ANOVA Rejuvenator. Check out this article online for data on RAP properties and the benefits that the city are already seeing.
Yeah, and there's some stories linked to that one about just managing the RAP process in general and that sort of thing. Our asphalt contractor folks have done a real good job covering RAP in that series of stories. And that's our list for the week. Thanks so much, John, for your help.
And thank you for having me.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.